Hey everyone, with Time Wizard format, it is a great time to check out some retro formats, and what better format to check out than Android format. So we're going to be tackling these three, starting with this spicy Last Warrior deck. These are all decks that I've made. I have tackled historic decks, which I have a whole playlist for that, but with my decks here, I want to have something that I've never seen before, because you don't see too many decks from the Android format. See, they're all sort of like a beatdown deck or some sort of stall variation, but these are very unique decks that you're seeing first. So with Last Warrior, the idea is to get Last Warrior from another planet. Now, if you are unaware, Android format goes all the way through Labyrinth of Nightmare, but before Legacy of Darkness. So this is right before Yatagarasu. So no Yata lock. So Last Warrior from Another Planet is a strong fusion monster that prevents players from summoning monsters, and that's pretty freaking good if you can really lock down your opponent with that. So with this deck, the only way to get it out is to fusion summon. There's no metamorphosis in the card game by this point, at least in the TCG. So we have to use polymerization, and thankfully, thanks to Tournament Pack 1, we have a lot of options here with our Fusion Substitute cards. They're not King of the Swamp, we don't have Fusion Sage and some other great fusion cards, but there is plenty to work with here. When you have cards like Mystic Tomato, you can really easily get out Versago the Destroyer, a Fusion Substitute card. You have Shining Angel, which can easily get out Goddess with the Third Eye. And then you have Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest that could also get Mariokutai or Zombyra, which are the two fusion materials that make up Last Warrior from Another Planet. So there's a lot of ways you can get this, because you have all these different, you can use Goddess, you can use Versago, and you can use either one of those with Mariokutai or Zombyra. So there's plenty of ways to get this out. The other kind of spell and traps, they're kind of more standard. With Jar of Greed and traps, I decided to put here just to kind of help get a little bit more consistency, a little bit more draw power if we're able to. Same thing with kind of Painful Choice to thin the deck out so we can get the cards we need to. Shallow Grave is a card I absolutely love. This is like one of my favorite tech choices that I don't see anyone play, but I think it's a fantastic card. You can use this when you dump cards with Painful Choice. You can dump your, like a Zombyra, Versago, Goddess, Mariokutai, and anything else. And you can use Summon or the Shallow Grave to bring those monsters to the field, which you can still use polymerization with. So there's a lot of great things to use with that. Now your opponent does get a monster with this as well, but sometimes they may not have a monster if it's early game, or it may not be a beneficial monster, or it could be a monster that, since you know what it's gonna be, you know how to take care of it. So you could run a card like Nobleman of Crossout in this deck. It's a very fun deck, and I would definitely suggest trying it out. So the next deck we're talking about here is Deck Destruction. This definitely has an OCG flair to it. And there's a lot of cards that you wouldn't really see otherwise. Cards like Spear Cretin, which has a very similar Shallow Grave effect upon destruction, or Hero Shadow Scout, which is another kind of weird card. A lot of it, sure, you're giving your opponent cards with a lot of this, you know, like Card Destruction, Morphing Jar, but then you also got like Needleworm and Morphing Jar number 2 and Cyber Jar to just get through that deck. Now this is before Yata format, this is before Chaos format, so there is no Pharaonic Guardian here, which means no Book of Tayo, no Book of Moon. We're not going to be able to run those cards, but we have plenty of stuff to work with. Again, like you see my tech choice here, the Shallow Grave, you can revive your Needleworm Morphing Jars in face-down defense position, which is very dangerous for your opponent to even try to attack with. Now, obviously, Nobleman of Crossout is a dangerous card, as is something like a Dark Hole or Raigeki, but that's why we're running like Magic Jammer and Imperial Order and Solemn Judgment, and even just to protect ourselves with Sorcerer of Revealing Light and Wabaku, and even Giant Trunade helps with protecting ourselves from like back row, or to reset source of revealing light. You don't really see deck destruction that much in Yu-Gi-Oh, I find. But I feel like this deck definitely is a way to go about it, especially with all these jar cards running about and lack of other cards. Like, you don't have to worry about a Yatagarasu and that sort of stuff. And it's definitely a spicy deck that you should try out. So this one is a water deck, but it's not Legendary Fisherman focused. We don't have a Legendary Ocean in this format, but we're running Umiruka because it is just a very powerful card that most 99% of the time your opponent isn't running water cards, and this is sort of my ideology with my Umi beatdown deck in the Yugi Kaiba format. But we're running a decent amount of water cards. Let's start with the Water Aqua Spirit. Now, Aqua Spirit is pretty good. During your opponent's standby phase, you can change an opponent's monster position, and they cannot change that for that turn. Which means if you're up against a card like a Gemini Elf, Goblin Attack Force, a Janjo, you can make it change positions, which makes it significantly easier to destroy on your following turn. To summon it out is actually special summon. You have to banish a water monster, and that's why running a bit more water monsters than it's probably best. I feel like if we cut Aqua Spirit, we might cut out some of the other cards, but that would just change the whole deck, wouldn't it? So we're running Mother Grizzly, which Mother Grizzly, it's a great way to fuel your graveyard because your opponent can destroy it by battle. Then you'll summon another one and possibly summon another one, and then you can use this to fuel, to special summon your Aqua Spirit, which you could also use just for tributing a Janjo or an Amphibian Beast. With Mother Grizzly, you can also get out Penguin Soldier. You can also get out Sinister Serpent. I'm running 7-color fish because this does get the benefit from Umiruka, which gives a 500 whopping attack to all water monsters. It's not like Umi where it's like fish, sea serpent, that kind of stuff. It's just water monsters. So Aqua Spirit, Mother Grizzly, which is a beast warrior who wouldn't get the Umi boost otherwise, is now a 1900 attack monster. 7-color fish is now a 2300 attack monster. Amphibian Beast, it's a 1 tribute 2400, so it's the same attack as Janjo, meaning you can crash into it. But with Umiruka, it is 2900. It's a very deadly card. Now, in this format, you'll probably see a lot of back row destruction. Heavy Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, typically 1 to 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, maybe even Giant Trunades. So that's why we're running 3 Umirukas. I initially had a build that was more Umi-oriented, where it was 2 Umis and an Umiruka, but I decided to go all in with this. Now, unfortunately, it's not Umi, so you can't run like a Tornado Wall, but that's okay. The Shallow Grave, though, we're only running 1, but there's a lot of great things you can use with this. Magician of Faith, Mask of Darkness to bring back a trap card, or Penguin Soldier, which is a great out to monsters that it's more tough for your opponent to summon, like a Janjo or, hey, maybe even a Last Warrior. So there's a lot of great strategies involved with this. With Amphibian Beasts, again, you can tribute from a special summon Aqua Spirit or a Shallow Grave target or a Mother Grizzly going into something else. We're also running Change of Heart or Snatch Steel, and Painful Choice. You can dump a lot of stuff in the graveyard to revive later or for nourishment for your Aqua Spirit. It's a great fun deck. I've always loved the water decks throughout Yu-Gi-Oh, if you can tell. But this is definitely like a really fun deck, and of course we have to run Torrential Tribute. So definitely let me know what you think about this decks. If you have any spicy ones, share them with me in my Discord, and I'll see you all next time.